Your entire future will be dependent on one word. Only one word will drive the biggest changes in Wales, and that is, of course, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Demographics. And why do I say that? Well, because it doesn't matter who you are. You might be in charge of maternity services or services for the elderly. You might be in charge of the regeneration projects for disadvantaged areas of Cardiff. You might be in charge of rural services for people who are living alone and are vulnerable. Whatever it is, demographics drives absolutely everything that you will be doing. So I just wanted to have a quick look at it, and then we'll go on to the issues of how to make a difference. And the first thing is, and you know this, that Europe as a whole is dying. In fact, if it wasn't for immigration, the UK as a whole would become extinct. In case you don't believe me, the number of children being born in many towns and cities across the UK is such that their populations would halve in every generation, and this applies to Wales as well. In Germany, the population is 80 million today, but will drop to 40 million in a single generation. In the following generation, it will probably drop to 20, because you either make babies or you have to import them. And the average couple, my friends, in Wales is only having, about 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 children. Well, you need to produce 2.3, 2.4 children per couple just to keep your population the same. And you're going to say to me, no, Patrick, you know nothing about Wales. Our population is growing. Yes, of course it is. And why? Because of immigration. You say, well, it's immigration from across the border. That's true. It's immigration, and it's happening very fast. And you're going to see a lot more of it. You're going to see immigration on a big scale from Eastern Europe, if you haven't already in your own part of Wales. I'll tell you why. In the last 2 years, over 650 to 700,000 people have come from Poland, Slovenia, Slovakia, and Croatia, places like that, into the UK. 600,000. The government officially planned, on your estimates, for 9,000, of which about 2,000 would come to Wales. So, in fact, there are 200,000 Poles now working in the UK. By the way, that figure I just gave you was officially registered. I'm not talking about people who haven't officially registered for work. I'm just talking about the people who've officially registered. So we're talking about probably about 1 million new citizens just from the new European countries coming into the UK just in the last 2 years and the next 12 months. So I hope you're ready for that. That's why I'm saying the future is about demographics. We have to understand it. And because we have this famine of babies, you see, the reason why we have an aging population in Wales is because people have stopped making babies. If people had carried on making babies, we wouldn't have an aging population. If people were having 4 babies per family, there wouldn't be no aging challenge in Wales anywhere. Now, that's why you're going to see a lot of debate in Wales about encouraging people to have children over the next 10 years. Now, this graph is really interesting. On this line here is the UK average, and here is Wales as a whole, okay? Not so many differences. Yes, you're a bit older than the average, okay? A bit of a famine when it comes to younger people. I'll come on to that. But look at this. This is interesting. This is Vale of Glamorgan. Oh my, what a difference. What happened? Well, you're actually gaining people here. Older people, 54 plus. Yes, you've got more of them than you'd expect. But where are all these young people? Where have they gone? You're slightly down on them anyway compared to the UK as a whole. But if you look at the Vale of Glamorgan, there's a famine of 20 to 29-year-olds. They're just missing. They're not there. In fact, if you look at Newport, they've gone. They're not in Newport. The clubs, the pubs, the wine bars, they're empty. Why? Because there aren't any, I'm exaggerating, but there aren't any 20 to 29-year-olds. And what that means, of course, is that you're shortly going to have a famine of 0 to 4-year-olds. So demographics is incredibly important, even within Wales, where people go. So where do they go? Newport. Well, they go to Cardiff. And you can see they're all turning up in Cardiff. From 15 years on, Cardiff is the place. It's the coolest, hippiest, most exciting place in the whole of Wales for anyone who's under the age of 30. Let's face it, that's where people want to go. That's what this shows. And as they come, they bring with them all kinds of challenges for you in terms of unemployment, social changes, policing, infrastructure, housing, very young mothers with unmarried mums with babies, and all kinds of things are happening in Cardiff right now as a direct result of this thing. So Newport, Cardiff, we better get it right. demographics is everything. It shapes every single decision that you will make over the next 35 years regarding the future of Wales. Okay, London, well, that's where they all actually end up. A little bit later. See, they move off. They were in Cardiff. They stayed there for 5 years. Then they went on to London. And 25 to 35-year-old, 40-year-olds massively populating London. Now, that's a simplistic view, but I'm just saying demographics is important. Now, 4 insights on business.